Hi guys, good afternoon. Welcome back again to Procurement with myself, Lerato. Today we have an interesting topic. We'll be discussing how evaluation criteria works when you do submit your tenders. So let's get into it. I did do a video in terms of the basics of what you need to know whenever you're tendering in South Africa. Please do look for that video. I will link it up on the description box so that you're aware what are the requirements when you are submitting a tender, right? Today, I just want to dive deep into evaluation criteria. Why is there an evaluation criteria when you're submitting a tender? And the areas of focus where you need to look into so that you don't miss the important aspects, right? Or PFMA says that all tenders need to be evaluated with fairness, equitably, and to make sure that everyone else treated the same. Basically, that's what it is. We are measured as procurement to do governance. So if we have tender responses that are 10 or 20, there is a need to indicate how we will evaluate a successful bid. What constitutes a successful bid? So keep that in mind whenever you're submitting a tender. What is it that I am doing or I'm submitting that will make me successful, right? So the evaluation team inside comprises of your bid adjudication committee, your bid evaluation committee. These are just general committees that sit onto the evaluation team and what we call cross-functional sourcing team, right? Firstly, in a bid evaluation committee, you'll find a technical guy from the specifications, right, of the business unit, someone who's responsible for that, someone responsible for BEE, someone who's responsible for health and safety, and then quality assurance. What else? Price, So you could find that in any tender evaluation committees about 4, 5, or sometimes 7. There are instances where you find audit and risk involved, right? Especially if it's a high value, high risk, complex type of tenders, okay? Just to govern the process to make sure that it was completely fair. Okay, so when you're submitting a tender, one thing you should rest in mind that it is going to be a fair process. If it is unfair process, it will obviously be flagged and raised, which is one of those tenders that might be linking into irregular expenditure, etc. Right? But we're not there. Now, let's get into evaluations, right? So, each and every tender that is submitted has an evaluation criteria in how you'll be measured. So what you need to look into as a business owner that is tendering, firstly check, is it an 80-20 evaluation principle or a 90-10 evaluation system? What then you should look into in your focus area is under the evaluation criteria, usually there's a mention of experience. And if it is experience, check your company experience. If the requirement says 5 years experience, you get 10 points, 20 years experience, you get 15 points, and then less than 3 years, you get maybe 3 points, okay? Already you can calculate, or okay, here's my bracket, right? This is where I'm at, number 1. Then sometimes they look for maybe CVs of someone or your staff that will be part of the project, right? Submit your CVs, submit project management plan. And when you look into that, if you don't have it, that means you must develop a project management plan and explain to the buying organization and to the organization that this is how I'm going to be running my project management. If you don't outline, you will not get points. So let's get that right. You need to have the requirements as it is stated. One tip about you winning tenders, guys, is sticking to the rules. Unfortunately, procurement sticks to rules. If you didn't submit the tender according to the requirements, you will not get it right, okay? So let me not get off the point. Then you have maybe areas where they say, explain the methodology, explain the approach, how are you going to go about executing this project, indicate your timelines, indicate your structure, indicate a proposal, tell us how, we usually make a silly example with my friend that if I ask you, what do you use for baking? You can tell me, I use baking powder, rama, flour, sugar. And then I say, tell me how you bake. Now you need to tell me, this is how I mix it. You start step by step. So technically, if the approach asks you in a tender, how are you going to do this? Indicate the approach. Tell the person, this is how I plan to execute the project. If it's a construction project, indicate, I'm going to be having 10 people on site. There will be 1 foreman, site manager. Every morning there will be a check-in, and they will be doing rounds. And then we check what was not left. Like, tell them how. This is going to be how we're going to manage rubble removal on site. This is how we're going to manage waste. There will probably be two maybe loads coming in and out. Now that's you explaining and indicating your approach, because another company will do it differently, you will do it differently, and the client will look into the requirements and say, okay, I like Lerato's approach because actually there is no waste, there's gonna be the site will be clean, or we clean on site, the risk is managed, there's a health and safety person on site, should there be an injury, this is how you handle an injury, there's 2 maybe hour response, there's a first kit on site, all of that thing. So that's what you need to indicate, guys. I stress this because a lot of you do not get it right. Okay, so you need to indicate the how and the creativity of how you will do this. The how comes at a lot, but you get the point. Okay, and then you then tend to find, when you are asked criteria around health and safety, how do you manage health and safety, indicate, do you have it? We're not saying give us a health and safety file, but we're saying with that file, how are you going to manage health and safety on site? What is a risk register? Have you identified? Do you belong to any associations? If you have ISO or process improvement plans, I don't know, you mention it, right? A lot of times you find suppliers that they are asked health and safety, but now they go look for a certificate that they got somewhere about health and safety, and then they plug it into the tender and they think that is done. No, that's not what the evaluation criteria is looking for. Answer what is asked. Now let's talk about the simple one. Submit or enclose the previous work that you've done, right? Give us maybe 3 letters of completion. And these 3 letters of reference letters, some tenders will indicate these letters must be in this format. The letter must be on a letterhead, client letterhead, with contact details and the value of the contract, and the duration of the contract, signed. See, these are the requirements. And you go and attach a letter that does not have these 5 requirements. How are you going to get the tender? You get me? So I don't want to say a lot of things that are going to confuse people. Today, I just want to stick on the topic of technical evaluations when it's needed in a tender, so that you don't miss it, right? I want you guys to get it. I know people think that you guys are giving tender to people, procurement gives tender to people. Sometimes make it hard for them to do that, because if you do all things right with the team that is there, there's no way they can bypass yours. Okay. And I will go through commercial evaluations on the next video, but today I wanted to go through the technical evaluations so that you can get your foot in. And then why I want to emphasize this is because a lot of tenders have minimum requirements, and you must read the tender documents, right? Usually it will say technical requirements is 70%, and if you don't meet the threshold, you will not make it to the next level. So what's the point of you meeting these requirements and then thinking, I'm gonna price low, I got the budget, I was told that the budget is 200, so I'm gonna quote. Mara, you are not failing to indicate how are you going to approach this tender and indicate to us that you are capable, right? You don't even meet the minimum requirements, so you get cut, and tomorrow you complain and say, how did it that I didn't make it? Why? It's because you never read the requirements. And if you read the requirements well, you will definitely win. So usually, and in every evaluation, template, evaluation criteria section, there are points associated with that, right? So if the minimum says you need to meet 70% of that, or out of 70, you need to meet 50, then you can already save yourself some trouble. Calculate that, right, this one I have, this one I don't have risk, I don't have experience, I don't have that. Why bother continue tendering when you know you don't meet the minimum requirements? Do not, I repeat, you do not have to do that, because you will not get magically points from no one or anywhere. Someone just gives you those points. It's not going to happen, right? Procurement can be very strict and sometimes very square and sometimes very rigid. So you do need to meet the requirements, right? If you don't meet the requirements, why waste your time? Look for tenders and RFQs that are within your capacity. Sometimes people tender and they know they don't have money to pay for the project. They don't have the right resources. You are relying on joint venturing. Even when you joint venture, you still don't respond according to the joint venture. So let me touch on that a little bit. If you're going to be joint venturing with another company, your tender response must be a JV, an entity that you've established in the JV, and it becomes complex because you need someone that can help you with that if you do not know. If you do know, everything must be two. You can't come as Lerato CC, say about the X, Y, and Z. all the documents are different, all the documents are separate, and you come and submit. You know, we must make sense of procurement. Someone, the buyer out there, must make sense of these two companies. And then how do you evaluate the price? How do you evaluate maybe how do you evaluate? You see, then there's due diligence, compliance, and all of that. So you need to come in as one. And even your submission must speak as such. Okay, so another topic for another day, but I just wanted to mention that. All right, so that's what I wanted to mention today in terms of the technical evaluation and how the evaluation system works. We will do a video on commercial evaluation and the price evaluation and the BE evaluation. Okay, and so that you do not miss anything, guys, because I do want you to win this year. This is a year of getting better, and I need your testimonies, guys. If you did like this video and it has added value to you, please do like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below. If you need more help, do inbox or email me on info@rigroup.co.za. I will leave the email right here for professional help, for mentoring, and for coaching. I do offer that. Please do come through and then I'll help you in my office. Okay, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Until we chat again next time when we do part 2 of this video. Mwah! Bye.